a really long time, Tesla has dominated the electric vehicle marketplace with its range of electric vehicles, the Model S, X, 3, and Y. It has provided customers around the world with a wide choice of models with decent range, performance, and a dedicated, reliable fast-charging network for long-distance trips. It's eschewed traditional franchised dealership models in preference for direct-to-customer sales, and its onboard tech, which does away with traditional automotive design cycles and focuses on software-defined architectures, allows its vehicles to remain up-to-date with current trends. But while Tesla has grown with meteoric success in the EV marketplace in the last 15 years, buying one today requires the buyer to be okay associating with a brand whose CEO Elon Musk has become vocal about some very polarizing topics. I'm going to list some in a second or two, so consider this your trigger warning in case you'd rather not deal with such matters. I'm just going to put a timestamp on the video now for you to jump to, along with some lovely elevator music for a while.
20 minutes later.
And at this point, I'll admit it took me a couple of hours to get this next bit of the script right, because I have tried listing out the things Elon Musk has done in the last few years that would be considered polarizing, and it was 2 pages long. Suffice to say, in just the last few weeks, Elon Musk has supported and spread baseless claims about immigrants, dead-named and misgendered his adult trans daughter, and made claims about his daughter that she has publicly refuted. He's shared deep fakes of Democratic presidential candidate and current US Vice President Kamala Harris on X. His political action committee, America PAC, is under investigation after it set up a website that called for citizens to register to vote, actually just harvested their addresses and phone numbers. He has seemingly been involved in an unusual series of problems with his social media platform X that have stopped several accounts related to Kamala Harris from posting or in fact even having an account. He spread malicious disinformation about 2 cisgendered Olympic athletes, accusing them of being transgender, and most recently at the time of writing this claimed that civil war in the UK was inevitable. Because of all of this, welcome back if you skipped the list, some people who would once have considered a Tesla are now having second thoughts, and many who do have Teslas now have stickers on the backs of their cars apologising in a manner of speaking. Just like this one. Hardened enthusiasts of Tesla who aren't so worried about Elon's behaviour will likely argue that there is no substitute for a Tesla EV and never will be. Some will discourage people from buying EVs if they can't buy a Tesla, and if that is you, bless your heart. Must be so nice to exist in a little bubble. But for everyone else, the good news is that the EV market is now pretty well stocked with vehicles we think make great alternatives to Tesla, and I'm going to go through some of them right now. There are currently 5 in-production Tesla vehicles you can buy today. The Model 3, the Model S, the Model X, the Model Y, and the Cybertruck. And each of these models have a range of different variants you can choose depending on your budget and performance requirements. I could spend literally hours going through all of the cross-shopping alternatives. So what we've done instead is to come up with a short list for both standard and performance variants of each of Tesla's passenger cars, and a further list for Cybertruck. Some of the vehicles we're going to mention aren't available in all markets, and yes, we will have missed some off. I'm sure if you think that there is an obvious one, you will let me know that below. But remember, this is a subjective list as collated by the team at this channel. I should also acknowledge that we're not focusing on replacing like for like. We're focusing on, hey, if you're looking for an EV of a similar size with approximately similar specs, consider these alternatives. Think of them as alternative test drive candidates that you should definitely try before you buy. To start, let's look at the entry-level Tesla Model 3. A mid-size sedan, it's actually not in a market that's super heavily populated by alternatives, but depending on where you live, there are some great EVs that we think are good alternatives. Let's start at the lower priced end, where if you live outside of North America, you might be able to opt for a car like the BYD Seal or MG4. While the Seal is a true sedan, the MG4 is a hatchback, but both can be purchased with a choice of different battery pack and drivetrain options. The MG4 technically doesn't really fit into any of the other lists, so we just popped it in here. And Kate's actually just driven one, so watch out for her thoughts on the MG4 on this channel soon. If you've got a little bit more money, the Hyundai Ioniq 6 is an excellent choice, especially if you're wanting efficient driving and a decent, reasonably open cabin. We personally loved the Ioniq 6 retro charm when we drove it last year, and its eGMP-based platform means it can charge more quickly than most other EVs out there, even some Teslas. Moving upwards in price, we come to the Polestar 2 and the BMW i4, cars that are certainly more pricey and offer a more luxurious feel than, say, the MG4 or the Ioniq 6. Both are very competent and offer a range of different trim and drivetrain configurations, and if you're a fan of classic rear-wheel drive sedan fun, you'll be pleased to know they are both available in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive configurations. We drove the latest iteration of the Polestar 2 earlier this year, and we really liked it. As for the Model 3 performance, well, luckily, as I noted, most of the cars I've already listed have higher performance siblings. There's the MG4 X Power, the Polestar 2 Performance, and of course, the BMW i4 M50, which I reviewed just last week. Model 3 out of the way, let's look at Model Y, Tesla's crossover sibling to Model 3. It has gained a lot of popularity in recent years, and because the crossover market is massive in the EV world, there are a slew of different models for you to choose from, many of which we haven't listed. MG's crossover sibling to the MG4, the MG ZS, is your more budget-oriented variant here, along with the Volkswagen ID.4. For buyers wanting a little more style with their MEB platform, there is of course the Audi Q4 e-tron. Cupra also makes a sibling for the ID.4, but that's better suited to the performance comparison for Model Y. Also worth a look at is the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Like some variants of Model Y in some markets, which use LFP instead of NCM chemistry, some Mach-E variants use LFP battery packs, which means if you're looking for an EV with cobalt-free cells, the Mach-E might be a good pick. And thanks to Ford's agreements with Tesla, you can already use superchargers if you're in North America, as long as you do have one of those NACS to CCS Type 1 adapters. Next, we have the eGMP triplets that are the Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6 and Genesis GV60. The GV60 feels like the most crossovery of the trio, but they all have the same excellent eGMP platform underpinning them, come in a variety of different power and trim options, and again, have super fast charging thanks to an 800-volt battery pack. Just be mindful of the GV60's fancy orb. It's a bit captivating. And sticking with higher end price points, let's finish off with the Polestar 3 and BMW i5. While the Polestar 3 is most certainly a great cross-shopper against the Model Y, the i5 is officially a sedan with a wagon variant in some markets. And look, we all love a good wagon. Some of us even prefer wagons over SUVs, including myself. So if you are wanting SUV-like load carrying capability, but don't want an SUV, go wagon and be rewarded with a much more connected driving experience. For Model Y performance alternatives, many of the cars I've just mentioned are available with range-topping hot lap variants, with my favourites being the Mustang Mach-E Rally, which I drove back in the spring, and the Kia EV6 GT, which has absolutely no business being so much of a butt kicker for the price it is. There's also the Ioniq 5N, a car I haven't had the pleasure of driving yet, and the M-badged i5 M60 Touring from BMW, which again is a more expensive option, more expensive than a high-end Model Y, but holy heck will it get your blood pumping and drive better than any Tesla Model Y I've been behind the wheel of. We're halfway through the alternatives for Teslas, and now it's time to turn to the Model S, Tesla's original mass-produced EV. But let's be honest, the Model S, while the reason Tesla survived long enough to start making the Model 3, is starting to show its age. And if you've got Model S money, there are so many good choices out there as alternatives. At Model S money, we're all into high-end models, and the list I'm about to give you is a representation of that, with not one, but two high-end luxury Mercedes-Benz models, the EQE and the EQS. Both incredibly capable, these two high-performance Germans will make your long-distance trips seem like you're just making a little hop down the road, with comfortable seats, plenty of onboard tech, and cabin build quality that other automakers can only dream about. But for that price, you are going to give up on frunk space, which I'm guessing if you're considering that much money won't be at the top of your wants list. It's worth noting that Mercedes-Benz is also one of two automakers that currently offers level 3 autonomous driving in some markets, which means that you can completely and legally turn your attention elsewhere while the car handles monotonous low-speed traffic, something even Tesla's autopilot full self-driving can't do yet. The EQS can also be spec'd with all-wheel steering, which allows it to do things that a car that large and heavy shouldn't be allowed to do in polite company. Forget Elon Musk's jokes about 69s and 420. The Mercedes-Benz EQS with rear steering is more agile and supple than Elon Musk's rumoured baby fur peeking through its legs to say hello. The next choice on my list, which sadly I haven't had a chance to drive, is the BMW i7, a car so hyper-luxe that you can even have a TV in the rear if you so choose. It, like the Benz twins, can do some level 3 operation in some markets, and the level of luxury on display is something you just cannot match with a Tesla Model S. Coming out of left field, and this one is really unexpected, I'm guessing, is the Genesis electrified G80. It looks like it needs its own zip code because of its length, its interior is all about luxury, and it offers what Kate and I have in the past referred to as a retro-styled experience of luxury. It soaks up bumps and is really pleasant to be in, but it also has the grandparent vibe that not everyone is gonna want, unless that is you are a grandparent and you have some Werther's Originals in the centre console. Finally, for Model S, we have the Lucid Air sedan. Available in a range of different guises, it is the most efficient EV on sale today, and in many ways it is the closest to Model S. Its price point, though, is kind of high, and if you are buying an alternative to Tesla for political reasons, you may want to ask yourself that you are okay buying a car from a company that's heavily backed by the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Like other alternatives to Tesla models, most of these cars also have performance variants to be alternatives to the Tesla Model S Plaid, and all come with traditional steering wheels instead of optional yokes. The AMG tweaked EQE and EQS are incredibly good fun, totally bonkers to drive, and will drain your bank account on purchase, as will the BMW i7 M70 with all-wheel drive and the Lucid Air Sapphire. But also adding to this list is the Porsche Taycan, a car that even in its entry-level guise is best suited to performance life given its badge and heritage. The Taycan is frankly one of the best driving EVs I've ever had the pleasure of experience, and somehow manages to defy the laws of physics at every corner. So if you want a car that's technically a sedan, but behaves more like a 911, that's the pick for you. Before we get to the Cybertruck, let's look at Model X, Tesla's most expensive car variant on sale today. It is a massive SUV, and there's not any other EV on sale today with a similar body style in most markets. But for this one, we're going to look at the total package, and I'm going to throw in some models that have similar seating arrangements to Model X, as well as ones that are higher end luxury and performance. Like Model S, we're going to be looking primarily at higher end models, but there is one car that really stands out apart from that if you need seating for 7 or decent load carrying capabilities. Yeah, I'm talking about the Kia EV9. I know, these two cars do not cross-shop traditionally, but they honestly do. The EV9 has more interior space and headroom for people than Model X, and the third row is more comfortable and easier to get in and out of. It is also more kid-friendly in most ways, although Model X's second row is still easier to get children in and out of thanks to its Falcon Wing doors. The EV9 is efficient, can be spec'd with a massive choice of different drivetrain options, and will soon be available as a performance-oriented EV9 GT. No, it won't ever spank people at the lights like a Model X, but if you're wanting load-carrying EV goodness, it is your first wallet-friendly choice for all of the reasons that make all of the eGMP-based cars so darned good. Next on our list, a more expensive choice, the Mercedes-Benz EQE SUV. It doesn't have 3 rows as an option, but it does everything else the Model X does in terms of style and performance and luxury. And if you absolutely do need 3 rows, go for its bigger brother, the EQS SUV. But like other Benz models, you should be ready to spend a princely sum to get it just as you want it. If you want to avoid legacy automakers, there is of course the Rivian R1S, which you can get in a variety of different configurations to suit your needs and budgets. I'm not familiar with the R1S, having not driven it, but if it's anything like the R1T, which I have had plenty of seat time with, it's going to be a great drive. That said, several folks I've spoken to that have R1Ss have told me that it does drive subtly differently to the R1T and feels a little less happy off-road. Still, it does offer a true 3-row interior and has tons of useful features, not to mention a frunk. And of course, it can also use Tesla's supercharger network in North America if you have a NACS to CCS Type 1 adapter. I should also throw a mention in here for the BMW iX, a car that will most certainly give you performance chops and rear-wheel steering too. However, it is only a 5-seater. But if luggage is more important than bodies, it's a good option, especially in its performance guise. Which of course brings me to performance chops variants of the Model X alternatives. And of course, the BMW iX M60 is a good choice if you don't need 3 rows of seats. If 3 rows aren't important to you, there's also the Porsche Taycan Cross Turismo, which is the fastest, sportiest wagon EV you are ever going to want to buy. It's great fun, and we loved our time with the one we drove a year ago. Just in case you didn't know, we got it very, very dirty. Now, on Transport Evolved, OnlyFans, we get a car very dirty. Very dirty. 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 Very. Is it rolling? Very dirty. Very dirty. I'll do one more very dirty. Dirty. I was in a good mood when I wrote this morning. Finally, there's the AMG EQS SUV, a car that is scarily competent and really the best cross-shop against the Model X Plaid. Cars out of the way. Let's look at pickup trucks. The Cybertruck is a weird one to classify. Wait. Not allowed to use weird anymore. Thanks, Elon. That's banned on X. So, how do I put it? It's a difficult truck to classify. The Cybertruck doesn't cross-shop against anything in the marketplace, but if you actually need a pickup that's electric and you want to haul things and tow things, then you have, of course, got 3 current main contenders in most markets. The F-150 Lightning, available in a range of different guises, is a very versatile vehicle that has as a bonus the fact that most accessories can fit from the regular F-150. It's also the only electric pickup I know of that can accommodate a snowplow, and while Ford doesn't recommend it, can even accommodate a standard bed-attached camper. It has plenty of power on board, and if you spring to the vehicle-to-home system, you can power your home from the truck in a power cut or during a peak power event, as I did last night here at the studio when I was writing this script. In a similar vein, the Chevrolet Silverado EV is also capable of all of the above, but unlike the Rivian R1T and F-150 Lightning, cannot yet use Tesla's supercharger network. It's also far more expensive than either of the other 2 alternatives if you adopt the most expensive RST variant as your choice, but you do get to drop that rear cabin down and carry longer things in it. Performance-wise, it will also tow with ease and is a regular truck design, so people won't think you're driving a stainless steel doorstop. But for true off-road chops, you cannot beat the Rivian R1T. Quad motor options make for impressive off-road capabilities, and that air suspension really makes even extreme trails a complete and utter breeze. Like the F-150 Lightning and Silverado EV, and of course Cybertruck, there's plenty of power takeoff on board, but Rivian doesn't yet have V2H capabilities, although we are told that's coming, which means every one of these trucks will have onboard power and power takeoff capabilities. The list out of the way, I'm going to give you my personal favourites for Tesla alternatives for each of the above, no matter the cost. Remember, my personal choices. For Model 3, I'm going to go and pick the Ioniq 6 Everyday for everyday driving and the BMW i4 M50 for track day chops. Model Y is definitely going to be the Mustang Mach-E for my money and the EV6 GT or Ioniq 5N for performance variants. Model S, I'll have an E please Bob for EQE for luxury and the Lucid Air Sapphire for ridiculous performance urges. Model X, then I'm afraid I'm going to go with the EV9 every single day for load carrying and kid hauling, or the BMW iX for performance jobs, and of course finally the F-150 Lightning for everyday truckability, and if I want to go off-road, the R1T. So there you have it, a selection of different models you can pick that aren't Teslas for when you've decided that you don't want to associate with the guy who is associated with actual white supremacists. I thought about alternatives at this point, but we have to be willing to call out his behaviour, sadly. Thanks for joining me today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them below in our Discord chat room, or you can reach out to us on Mastodon. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are some of more than the 1,500 people who help fund this channel through Patreon and YouTube, covering our bills, paying our team, and making sure we can be 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. There are a range of different tiers you can sign up for from as little as $1 a month, or if you pay yearly, just under $11 a year. A huge welcome to our newest supporters: Biggs Bronson, Philip Panya, Stephen Trudeau, Laura Connolly, Paul Giblin, Kaboombox, Oliver, John Franks, Bill Lascelle, Brent Smith, Terry and Rich UK, Wendy Kelly Budenbaum, Joe Hamlin, Ilian Oster, Brian Curry, Chelsea Williams, and Adekunle Ferinya. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member and get your moment of fame. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations, and we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at, address also below. And if you're in need of some swag, you'll find our swag store in the down below. This month, we're talking about accessibility with our latest t-shirt design, and keep your eyes peeled for a brand new special t-shirt for our trip to Everything Electric in Canada next month. We've got some great content coming up, so make sure you're subscribed on PeerTube or YouTube, and we'll see you soon. We make new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want more, the mighty algorithm thinks you'll like this video, but we think that this one is also well worth a look. See you soon, and as always, keep evolving!